And now, I would like to present Dr. Raul Berro, who will facilitate the critical thinking session. So, Dr. Raul Berro, the screen is yours.
With all the information we assimilated the past 3 half-day sessions, the college has set aside a time slot to share our insights, analysis, and take-home messages. Hello, participants, and hello, PCSP members. My name is Dr. Tom Acorda, the swine industry consultant and currently the chairman of PCSP's Swine Specialty Board. This critical thinking session will be handled by our able and one of our busiest members of the Swine Specialty Board of PCSP. With over 40 years of experience in swine health and management, he is currently one of the most sought swine consultants. Because of his yearning for animal care, he spent the first chapter of his career life as a farm veterinarian. He then jumped into the playing field of the animal health industry, bringing with him all the learning he amassed over a period of time while in farm practice, holding various positions from technical manager to business management responsibility with multinational animal health companies. His last stint was with Intervet Sharing Plow as the global marketing director, and that was in 2013. With his dedication and commitment, he was appointed by the Philippine Swine Foundation and PCARD as the project leader for the yearly swine production performance of the Philippines. He is also a collaborator of unlimited number of ASF control programs. To name a few, the government repopulation initiatives, the Bantay ASF sa barangay program, the ASF epidemiology, and ASF compartmentalization program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome my dear colleague and friend, Dr. Raul Berro.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Tom, thank you very much for that kind introduction. Colleagues, this is our last day, and let me give you our thoughts and in behalf of PCSP regarding the presentations during the last 3 days of events. The theme, restore, redefine, restructure, I think fits perfectly with what's going on with the industry right now, and the topics that were presented also has fitted with the particular theme. Let me bring you back to what we have discussed during the day one. We talked about biosecurity, the Swiss cheese model, genetics, sow longevity and importance of piglet care, profitability by Cooperl experience in France, feeding the modern genetics, and the ASF vaccine updates. The ASF biosecurity is a review of successful measures. It gives us a challenge of that because majority in the Philippines of our swine clients or swine farmers are in smallhold. As mentioned in the presentation, 65%. Could be 60, could be 70%. The challenge for us is that how biosecurity can be applied. Can we relay this down there to the backyard level or the smallhold? So this is a very important project or important what you call this monitoring that we must do. We can help, of course, by the private vets, but of course the LGUs who are more distributed all throughout are the other pillars of this activity. The LGUs has provided the barangay BBOs or the barangay biosecurity officers. I think they are one of those who must be continuously trained, and PCSP was one of those who trained them 1 or 2 years ago. Cleanliness and disinfection is a must, but how rigid is the application? Lahat tayo nagdi-disinfect sa farm. Pero are we following up what is recommended by the disinfectant company? Disinfectants are not enough. In fact, merong presentation that is giving us the detail of cleaning, disinfection, and the detergents, and even up to drying. No, so I will bring it back later. The test is swab test enough because there is also a presentation on the ATP test. ATP, the adenosine triphosphate, which serves as determining the energy presence and the presence of the microbes into the area. I think one important factor that this is already being applied by many companies in the Philippines. The presence of ATP, therefore, helps improve the cleaning, which is not good because even if it is clean by physical means, but pwede pa ring madumihan. Hindi nagsasabing completely clean once na test mo sa ATP. The presence of contamination can be identified. The food residue, at of course, bacteria. The Swiss cheese model. Maganda yung nabanggit ni Doc Marlon about that. Yung survey nila nagsasabing 85% ng test na ginawa nila has a low level of biosecurity level. So that means if we base it sa PCSP, which we have a biosecurity protocol, farms must follow for the smallhold dun sa ating level 1 at doon sa commercial farm must follow the biosecurity level 2. Some of those important aspects that Doc Marlon mentioned na hindi gaanong or it's a challenge para sa lahat ay no demarcation between the clean and a dirty area. Mahirap po ba itong gawin? But for most of the commercial farm, alam kong hindi na-implement pero kayang gawin. Di ba? Ganun po, ano? Except for those top 10 siguro ng industry na ginagawa yon, majority hindi pa rin po nagagawa to eh. Let's try and visit again our respective farms. Ask help from those veterinarians down there in the field. Sa industry, marami tayong private veterinarians and government veterinarians that can also help on that. The good thing is that the PCSP biosecurity protocol, while it is being made by PCSP, pero in-apply na to ng government, kasama na sa Babay ASF. So we have the government and the LGU together applying it in the field. So the only problem is, are we applying it properly and thoroughly? I think one of the basic thing that we must do is apply this thoroughly and diligently, the biosecurity. So the biosecurity Swiss cheese model mentioned about 0.5 or 1 kilometer distance from one farm to another. Sa PCSP, 0.5 nga lang eh. So what is important is may apply ito, but again, I know the challenge. Kailangan ng tulong ng LGU. Because even if BAI will say do this, pero dun sa local, sa LGU, it must be contemplated. Ma-apply dapat ito. Next area is that the downtime. It's a simple downtime. Siguro dapat religiously it has been done na. Hindi lang, commercial has been doing this. But the smallhold and the semi-commercial, we must apply this. Okay? 24 hours man, 48 hours man, but importanteng magkaroon tayo ng way in order to get ourselves out first before we enter the farm, especially yung mga galing ng slaughterhouse, although hindi lang marami yan. Pero galing sa palengke, marami sa atin yan. Galing sa palengke. Now, observe this and it will really help a lot. The bird proofing, so one of those challenges, the storing of old manure, of course, related sa cleanliness, that must be practiced. I can relate this dun sa Inspire program ni NatFed. yung mga companies supporting that not fed, mga ilan kami doon, mga 10, 15 companies, may kanya-kanyang expertise, but merong in general, nagkakapare-pareho na with the objectives and the kinds of testing. So magandang mai-expand pa further yung program na yon, and yeah, magandang ginawa ni Inspire and ni Not Fed about that. Now let's go to genetics. The age of guilds, as mentioned by Mr. Ron, is really important. The ideal weight at farrow and the winning weight, well, parati nating issue yan in the farm. But if you think deeply about it, have we addressed this concern sa farm? I'm sure hindi. Maraming hindi nakakakuha ng mga targets nila sa farm. And I can attest that because we are doing the yearly annual swine performance data. Sana ma-improve, sana ma-emphasize ito that genetics plays a very important role. The feeding of gestation. Na-mention ni Mr. Ron about the body condition of the sow. Yes, very important. Really has to be applied. The growth rate. So therefore, kailangan mo ng data. Before you buy these gilts, you need those datas. And the diet to energy level. So nutrition will play a very important role. And the mention ni Mr. Ron about the intake of gilts that has to be reflecting dun sa diet and energy level. Kasi pag kulang ang intake and ganito lang ang level ng energy, then hindi mo makuha yung requirement mo ng gilt or sow. So again, total management to, hindi lang to puro on one aspect, but I think it has to be diligently attended. The feeding of gilts and sow during lactation. So na-mention ni Mr. Ron, it should be ad libitum, especially sa gilt. Lalo na yung mga medyo behind sa timbang, even sa sows, and ad libitum feeding was encouraged. And na-mention niya yung 4 pillars of gilt eligibility. So ako tinitingnan ko, I also follow this. The weight during the first breeding, 135 to 160. Alam niyo, na-experience ko na lumampas dyan, nag-160, 170. Kaya nahihinaan akong mag-milk. No? Na-mention nga naman ng mga experts na the meat, the muscle has already been developed. Nahirapang, we know that fat is more important in a breeding herd para makapag-provide ng maraming milk. So that is an important aspect that must be monitored. And ang age, specifically, nag-mention ni Mr. Ron ng 200 to 225. But probably depende sa breed, no? And nasa second estrus. So could be second, could be third. But importante, umabot sa mga ganong parameters. Si Dr. Neil nag-mention about the sow longevity, paano tumagal at paano magiging maganda ang performance ng piglets. One of the highlights na na-mention rito is specifically mycotoxins. Alam ng lahat, we all know that mycotoxin is one of our main enemy. Mycotoxin affects performance of vaccination. Mycotoxin is one of the reasons why antibody is not well developed, despite of all the major vaccinations that we are in. So isa siya sa mga problems. And the mycotoxin affects the major organs sa reproduction, na liver, at saka yung other. So related ito sa piglet and sow performance and even sa grow-out performance ng mga growers. Nag-mention siya about mass spectrometry, which can analyze mycotoxin, assess the finished feeds, and do the differential diagnosis. I think this one kind of test is one important thing because hindi nakukuha to basta-basta sa biosecurity, hindi ito nakukuha sa proper breeding because nanggagaling ito sa where the source are. So again, feed, coming from the end feed is very important, the feed quality. Dr. Boucher mentioned about profitability. Nag-share siya ng experience niya sa Couperel in France. Napakaganda yung mga na-mention doon. The quality of sow and colostrum, which is something related din doon sa unang discussion. To optimize production, always think the basic. So basic ulit daw tayo, but na-mention niya how important is piglets at birth na nakaka-reach ng more than 1 kilo. So we are targeting more piglets produced per sow per year. We're talking about what, 12, 14, 16? But sa Philippines, tayo nasa 10, 11 pa rin. But even then, hindi pwedeng mag-behind tayo o mag-below ng 1 kilo. But always there's 1 or 2 heads no, below 1 kilo. But according to Dr. Boucher, negative 1 kilo of weight at birth will have an additional 6 days sa slaughter pagdating sa pag-raise sa animal. So matagal yon. If you times that to the cost of feed per day, for example, 25 ba, 30, and they're eating 2 or 3 kilos, so that's around 40 to 60 pesos per day times 6, so that's around 360 pesos per pig. So malaki yon. Malaking cost yun, no? So, hindi natin napapansin sa farm, but with this presentation, we must take a look at this because it's very important na ang piglets ay mabibigat talaga. And without, ito pa, may na-mention pa about there is a minus 10 kilograms sa carcass weight. So ito yung pagdating na to sa difference between the dress weight and that of from the live weight. So laki ng losses, no? Now, high health status gilts. Ito yung pinaka-more important. So are we doing this? Pag bumili ba tayo ng gilts, tinitingnan ba natin yung high health status? Ang ating majority tinitingnan is, pagdating, wala dapat ubo, wala dapat sipon, no? Or hindi nagtatamping. But again, choose the right source of the breed, yung medyo, alam natin na magandang pagka raise ang pigs and their management. So a lot of things, but marami ng breeding farm in the Philippines, marami na either locally or imported source. And one objective is to provide bigger winning pigs so that maka-achieve tayo ng a better weight gain. Now, the advantage of bigger winning pigs is that magiging low ang antibiotic usage, which is correct. Because a stronger piglets pigs at winning can compete once they are weaned with a feed. So pag nakuha nila yung feed, mas better ang source nila ng nutrient, then less ang chance na magkasakit sila. No? So that is a good thing. Sabi ni Dr. Yolanda Revilla that ASF vaccines still on the process, no? Hindi pa tayo ganun ka-successful. So merong inactivated, merong subunit, the attenuated, at nag-mention din siya about the marker vaccines that if you could delete the 2 genes na na-mention niya, now currently they are being tried in Korea, I hope na maging maganda rin yung results nun, then everybody will be happy and will be benefiting with those research. Alright, so I go to the day 2, nag-discuss about a certain growth promotant na may ractopamine. May mga related sa gut health na related sa ileitis vaccination. Sa antibiotic, again, a free pig production, maximizing the feed efficiency, steps to optimize farm cleaning and disinfection. So still lahat siya connected dun sa ating day 2 theme, which is redefine. The adapted biosecurity and disinfection dun sa speaker from Thailand, and the batch production from MSD. No? So these are important things sa part ng ating topics on redefining. So si Dr. Jansen nag-mention ng Lawsonia vaccination. Are we doing this in the farm? Have we experienced a better results with this vaccination? Because how many farms are experiencing high cases of ileitis? And na-mention niya specifically that the fecal shedding is still present 11 to 19 days. Sa PCR, nagpa-positive yan. So even sa second and third week, pag hindi mo na-treat yan during the first week, that means dala-dala pa ng kanyang transmission on the second and third week. So very critical because we experience a lot of Lawsonia or ileitis problem in the farm. Commonly seen sa breeders. May mga sudden death, bloody diarrhea, meron sa nursery, meron sa grower finisher, again, kundi man bloody diarrhea, nag-wet feces, at meron siyang na-mention about subclinical case. The subclinical is more dangerous kasi hindi mo nakikita, but if you based it in their study, 80 to 100% worldwide of the pigs are having Lawsonia. So that means nakakatakot because apektado definitely ang growth rate at ang FCR. So this is a big problem. So what are we currently doing? There are antibiotics that are macrolides in particular that we do to treat that. But not necessarily naman na you have to do it continuously. There is also what you call the high dose that you can do it shortly, but you can do it every month. Kaya yung cost, hindi naman siguro ganun ka magiging major problem unless gagamitin mo continuously. But veterinarians can make it happen, no? About the right use of it. But vaccination, yeah, isang stress sa inahin, isang stress sa piglet, and you can be protected na all throughout. Yep, if that is your experience is very successful, then proceed with it because that is one way of helping improving the gut of the animals. Dr. Picard mentioned about the antibiotic-free pig production. So everyone wants a antibiotic-free production. Well, the only way is that you improve the gut health. But again, the respiratory is another problem that has to be attended. So what would you think? Anong mga missing pa natin in our pig operation? Why pigs continue to get diarrhea? Why pigs continue to get respiratory problem? Is it the housing as well? Parang hindi natin nabanggit with this theme natin, with our topics. No? Housing is, I think, one of the key pillars in the performance. Because in the Philippines, we are one of those in the tropical countries. Kahit anong gawin natin, yung ating mga conventional farms, lalo na kung nasa lugar na medyo mainit at high humidity, napapansin ko we have been doing a lot of things already and that makes expensive kasi they are very exposed to sickness. But if we improve that housing to what is required by the pig and make pig comfortable, I think that's one way of also reducing the antibiotic-free usage. Okay? Dr. Valderobano mentioned about the safe feed additives. So that is the ractopamine introduction. We have heard this during the several years now, no? Introduced by one of our colleagues in a company in the Philippines. And are they successful? The objective is improving the lean meat quality. No? So I know one of our colleagues at PCSP has been doing a lot of projects on this, improving the lean meat. But that is also one of our future objective. Pagandahin ang karne because we want more lean, of course, than fat. So as long as magiging safe ito, as long as magiging effective ito, why not? So continue to do this, continue to do trials, and give updates to our industry. Si Miss Anne Delay has mentioned about an optimized farm cleaning and disinfection together with Dr. Angso Tansombat. So parehong mga related sa disinfection. One area that I have picked from Miss Anne's presentation is the correct order of sanitation protocol. We are doing this in the farm, no? Pero this one is try to think about this. Cleaning is normally being done sa farm. We wash, yes, of course. But not everyone is doing detergents pa, di ba? Detergents is one of those important part of that. Kasi sometimes we go directly to disinfectant eh. But they have been mentioning, there are two speakers, keep on mentioning about detergents. So parang sinabon mo yung lugar bago mo disinfect. Yeah, because why? Eh, meron pa daw naiiwan sa ATP test na organic matter. Can be, no? Can be. Now, this time is a different approach. From the detergent, hindi na regular water. Hot water na pinapagamit dito. Maganda ata to. Hindi ko pa nasubukan to. No? But it was mentioned before, no? So marami tayong mga discussion about ASF, hot water cleaning. But ilan ang nakaka-apply niyan? Sino ang may facility to do that? But this time, I would like to emphasize na ngayon dito na ma-mention niya the hot water cleaning, the disinfection, and then after that, meron pang dry acidification. Yan ang hindi ko gaanong na-pick up during the presentation kung anong product to. But again, I know kasama to sa quiz natin kahapon, ano? So this is an important part, no? Think about this. Think about what is missing pa sa ating mga ginagawa sa farm. This might be one of the pillars, one of the important factor that we must apply. And we must relay this to our farm people. The biofilm, eto. Madalas makaramihang farm, not all ha, karamihang farm talagang hindi regularly nililinis at binivisit yung ating mga water pipes. Sakit ito natin lahat. Merong magaganda siyempre, no? Pero ako, isa sa mga nakakita lagi ng marumi ang pipes. Now, those company that are testing this has been telling me about the word biofilm, the biofilm. Itong biofilm, ito yung tinatawag, siguro kayo madalas din yung narinig din to. This is a community of microorganism surrounded by cell-produced extracellular substances o kasama sa testo kahapon. Now, biofilm is really important. And what does this message is meant to us? Mukhang magpapalit. Total naman repopulation tayo. Total naman marami pang bakanteng farms. Can you visit na lang din ulit sa ating mga pipes and ang ating mga tangke? Baka naman pwedeng palitan na lang ulit to complete all the biosecurity requirement. Kasi kasama to sa biosecurity 2 ng PCSP that it must be treated regularly. Pero how can we treat kung sira na, may biofilm na siya? Ika nga, monitoring ay mahirap talaga pag kinakalawang na. So try to think about this, no? Magastos pero kasama to sa ating biosecurity protocol. So nag-try si Dr. Angso na sumbat ng adaptive biosecurity. Napatunayan naman niya in Thailand nung July 2021 na nakatulong ang proper disinfection and cleaning to restore back the farm, na ialis yung problem about the ASF challenges. Basta marami namang alam namang marami pang ibang factor in order to reach that goal, ano? So yung limitation ng pig movement during the outbreak, napaka-importante 'yon. The people movement, the pig movement, the equipment movement, napaka-importante with all those things during those ASF times. So it was simply mentioned. Nag-mention din siya about biofilm and the proper use of the disinfectants during outbreak. So, nagme-mention din siya ng mga mga KMNO4, yung ba yung minention niya? That is potassium peroxymonosulfate, no? If I am correct with that product. So, batch farrowing, part of the repopulation program and the future of pig farming is batch farrowing. Of course, napakaganda ng batch farrowing because we can relax on that. We can program the farrowing, we can program the everything in the farm. Pag gusto mo, which is applicable in the Philippines, is a 3 weeks batch system. Of course, napakaganda because every 3 weeks lang may manganganak, every 3 weeks lang may breeding, and every 3 weeks lang may iwi-wind. So that gives a lot of time for the farm to attend other important things or assignments in the farm, no? But are we ready to this concept? Sabi ng iba, problem about application. Hindi namin may apply kasi yung facility namin ay talagang pang general eh. Datihan na napakaraming farrowing in one building. But this batch farrowing kasi has to be computed pa. Paano kung bagay sa mga wala pang farm ngayon or bagay sa mga farm that are already in that setup, pero yung mga nandyan na, well, they really have to teach them. Although nagagawa naman na partial batch farrowing because sa guild, pwede naman nating i-apply yon. So this is one important aspect. But will this be helpful? Yeah, very helpful para sa ating future in our pig industry. And the last but not the least is the day 3, the restructure. We have updates on PRRS. Now, speaking of PRRS, if we can provide a breed that is resistant to PRRS, then much better. Because for the last 20, 30 years, problema natin ang PRRS. Just take a look at how we experience this sa PCSP. If we test our grower finishers with a high lung lesion score, may PRRS. Nursery with lung lesion score, may PRRS. If we test our breeders with abortion, with farrowing piglets with abortion, may PRRS. So, lagi siyang present. May hindi man siya pwedeng, isa lang siya, but it can also be a complicating disease. So, madalas may PRRS together with what? Mycoplasma, as mentioned. Laging nasasama eh. And na once again, after several times na nadidiscuss to, the cost in the US is, at least mabutit nag-convert na siya into peso, 37 billion peso a year sa loss ng PRRS. Ewan ko lang kung updated pa to hanggang ngayon. And there is also an 89 billion peso cost ng euro, 89 billion peso cost sa Europe. So ang laki ng cost ng PRRS. So if there is a breed, genetic breed that can provide this, then ang laking ginhawa natin lahat. Then the vaccines will all just there to help support, and you have the breed that is more resistant to that. In the Philippines, by the way, nagtitest na rin tayo ng genes detection on the litter size, ano? And also on the average daily gain. So that's an information. Pag nadagdag ang peers, then napakaganda. Now, the gene editing, it was mentioned. I hope this is part of the program by eliminating this, not eliminating pala, binding or uncovering the CD169 and the CD163. Now, it was mentioned by Mr. Jean-Marc Laurent, that the strategy to reduce is the use of organic acids. Yes, we have been doing this. Many farms are already applying this. The formic acids, the acetic acids, and many acids already has been in the marketplace. It helps. Yeah, gamitin lang mabuti, gamitin lang ng tama, and we know it can really be helpful to our endeavor in controlling such gram-negative organisms, even Clostridium, and improving the gut health. The evolution of the lung lesion scores. Well, magandang project ni Seba because we have been hearing and doing a lot of this even from other companies in the past. Malaking tulong because identifying the health status of the animal can reflect with what is present in the lungs. Of course, this is respiratory. Of course, maganda yung nakikita natin in the slaughterhouse at in the farms na rin during necropsy kung anong level ng mycoplasma, anong level ng APP. So we can do our positioning program. So we can do whether what have to be adjusted, vaccination, the treatment of our medication, or movement management. Sometimes ang mga lung lesions is also related sa movement of pigs, the management of pigs. So the climate problems of farm. So that is very important. So na-mention ni Doc Paul about the 70 to 80% pa rin dun sa 2015 to 2020 nilang study about the bronchopneumonia. So hindi pa rin pala naubos talaga itong lung lesions. Ano? Andun pa rin. But I know hanggat hindi naayos ang climate, hindi naayos ang environment, hanggat hindi naging komportable ang baboy within that, mahihirapan talaga pang i-totally clean ang lungs. Although, by the way, worldwide, mycoplasma is 95% no, sa lahat ng lungs. So yun na nga lang, if we can lower that level of a score, then much better. What if there are viral complications? Now, since Dr. Sandos nag-mention about empowering gut health to increase productivity, yes, beta-glucans, may nag-mention din about mga nucleotides. It can be of big help, no? Improving the immune system, strengthening the immune system will definitely be of help kasi if you control mycotoxin, if you have a good nutrition, if we have a beta-glucan there, then it can enhance the antibody production from your vaccination and from those not included in the vaccination. But pigs or pig, whatever ages, will be stronger, will be healthier, so less chance of a disease. Yeah, so it will help to do that. So as he mentioned, 70% of the immune system is based on the gut. So importante nga ang gut health. If we relay this to human, ay talagang lahat naman ng intake natin, lahat ng infection ay pwedeng nanggagaling to the food that we eat. Although, siyempre, yung respiratory is on the environmental, yon sa climate, no? Pagka naulanan or pagka natuyuan ng pawis. So, we can also relate this to the pig or whatever animals that we have. Then last but not the least, Dr. Romy Sanchez mentioned about one of the important thing that we have to never forget this, the diagnostics. Na nag-mention siya about ESF will remain to be a threat and ito yung magdidictate sa repopulation program natin. Yes, but after ESF, si PED tahimik na ba? si PRS, si Influenza, si SMEDI, si Parbo, and marami pang iba. Individual-based sampling can be one of the things that nakikita niya. Yes, Doc Romy, kailangan talagang, Doc Meme, kailangan talagang if we can do individual testing na, especially slaughterhouse check. Slaughterhouse, kasi yung mga binabiyahe sa slaughterhouse, hindi natin alam kung ilan ang may ASF doon at saka hindi eh. If we can do that, also from the farm level, instead of sampling 20% or 10% or what's 49 heads na ngayon no, from 30, but still, if we can come out with a cheaper and a quicker and reliable PCR, by the way, mentioning about PCR, marami na pong na-register ang government, ang BAI about this. So, while nandun yung traditional PCR test nila sa mga diagnostic lab, siguro naririnig nyo na din yung CPCR, that is in 45 minutes to 1 hour, may result ka na doon. But that is, of course, for monitoring, for screening purposes. Kasi still, pag ASF sa diagnostic lab pa rin ng BAI and the private labs. We have also may bagong in-address ngayon, may bagong na-register ngayon si MLS. So balita ko, can be used to test semen, saliva, urine, fecal samples, blood. Maganda. And maganda dito kasi kayang i-accommodate ang maraming sampling at mas cheaper ito. So one of those very future that we should go. So government laboratory, private laboratory, tuloy-tuloy na. It's increasing. So marami ng government labs, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Marami ng private labs. Although kulang pa rin siyempre sa mga north. Parang hindi pa ganun karami. And what is Doc Meme looking forward is that kung kaya na itong ma-reach na dun sa mga, kung kaya kada probinsya meron para hindi na lalayo. Because na-question kanina kay Doc Meme, why some farms do not send for testing, kasi nga yung availability ng laboratory, ng diagnostic lab. So if this is a good lesson for us with the ASF. If we can proceed this, we can make use of this experience, palakihin na natin to, let's support on this, and then gagawin nating maging standard. Okay, so lastly, to summarize this, with all this activity, we need the following that has to be reminded. Right housing or proper housing. Yung nandyan na, remodel it, refurbish it. Yung wala pa, start right. Proper biosecurity, good genetics, because you can come out with a good performance. Safe feeds, safe gut, healthy gut, antibiotic-controlled production, of course, vaccination. With all of those, we will have less disease, and a healthy food, better growth performance, better feed conversion efficiency, and last but not the least, better profit. So with that, in behalf of Philippine College of Swine Practitioners, I hope we were able to share to you important things during the last 3 days, and I hope it is helpful. Always remember, take a look at these notes because these are all important and helpful to our future in the swine industry. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon sa inyo or gabi sa inyong lahat. Thank you.